welcome back. My name is Laura. You found Lila Stitches, and I'm so glad you're here. It's been about a month and a half since my last real Flosstube. My most recent video was outside of the Pollinator blurbs was the 2-year anniversary extravaganza, if you will, with my sister, which was so much fun to make, and it appears that everybody's enjoying it, so that makes me very happy. Get that out of the way. Anyways, but because of the length between regular videos, it's given me the opportunity to do a lot of stitching. So I have a lot to share with you. I've got finishes, a fully finish, a bunch of whips, and then some acquisitions. So let's dive into it. I apologize for the glare on my glasses and any overexposure. I've been playing with this window. It is a very beautiful, bright, sunny day, and it's fighting me as far as cameras go. So I've done the best I can, and it was finally to the point where it's like, to heck with it all. We're just gonna go for it, and it will be what it will be, and it's fine. The odds are that everybody's looking down at their stitching, not at me anyways, so who cares if there's a little glare on my glasses. Okay, so let's start with my fully finish, which needs a little bit of tweaking because the back didn't really stay in, but that's okay because it's so pretty. So I got this all framed up. I went digging through my stack of frames because I'll pick one up here and there if I really like it from Hobby Lobby when they're on 50% off. This is Turkey Day, which I finished the stitching on last autumn, and oh my gosh, I'm just tickled to have him framed. I love this frame. It's a funky size, but it's perfect for him. So it was designed for 2 4x6s. And I tried to measure the opening. It was like 8.5 by 10.5 or something. It was slightly bigger than your normal 8 by 10. But it just worked out perfectly for Mr. Turkey. And I love how the color and texture of the frame brings out the colors in him. So he's only been framed since this morning. I'm still oogling over him myself. I believe I stitched this on 28 count Picture This Plus cauldron. And yeah, I just love him. I did make a couple tweaks in the colors. But for the most part, he's the called for. Oh, I love him. Yay! We'll just set him here. He gets a pretty spot because he's handsome. And he's done! Can't wait to put him out in my living room or somewhere. I'll probably wait, I don't know, maybe I'll put him up for like a week or two, because I tend to, October, my my decorations are pretty Halloween focused, and I've got some real cute cross stitches framed for that as well. So I don't know, I'll either put him out for a couple of weeks and then take him down, or I'll wait till after Halloween to put him up, but I'm just tickled. Okay, so the next one I worked on, I actually finished this on the 12th of August. Erin Elizabeth Nautical Tier. I stitched it on 30 count Portobello with the called for colors, but for Blueberry Tart. So I switched out the called for DMCs, and I switched out the light blue that sits on top of the white here, which I hope you'll be able to see. You probably won't because we're terribly overexposed. So colors will be tough today, which is unfortunate. Anyways, I did post the finish on Instagram though, so if you want to go see better pictures, my Instagram has a little photo shoot in there. So this was just delightful. It was so much fun to stitch. It was really quick. It only took me, like, I didn't stitch on it exclusively, so I was still done with it in a couple of weeks, less than 2 weeks. So yeah, lots of fun. Delightful. I just love the scallops on the tiers. And the lighthouse, of course. Anyways, I'll have to get that framed up or finished up somehow before next summer so that it can be displayed. My next finish, this is wild, you guys, was Summer ABCs by Little House Needleworks. And this was another one that I just got a little bit obsessed with. I just really enjoyed it. I finished this on August 15th. And I stitched it on 28 count linen. I don't have a color, but it's I don't know, ivory or cream or something like that. Oh, it's so cute. It's been sitting ironed in my closet for almost a month, so I haven't seen it in a minute. Oh, I love it. So I did make a couple of color changes on this one as well. I switched out one of the greens for Eve's Leaves, Classic Colorworks. I think that's the lighter green. And then the darker green I swapped out for Steamed Broccoli, also Classic Colorworks. I'll bring this up here closer. And then I did Aztec Red from Weeks Dye Works for the red. And I'd originally planned on doing just the red, but as I came down into some of the lower portions, I realized that the pink, it calls for, I should say right here, Cherry Tomato, which is very pink in its current iterations. It's super cute, but I wasn't sure I wanted pink in it. And then as I was doing this basket of cherries or apples or whatever this is, I wanted it to be more colorful. I just wanted a little bit more interest because it's originally stitched with two colors, the pink and the red, basically, with Blushing Beauty and Cherry Tomato. So Cherry Tomato is supposed to be the red, but I had subbed that out. So I did a couple of the apples, and then I decided, oh, I wanted some, you know, Golden Delicious or something, and then I did the pink ones, and it was just really fun. I kind of played with it, and I wound up bringing Cherry Tomato in to add just another color in there. And once I had it in one spot, I needed to bring it back into other places so that it would be balanced out. So I brought it into the watermelon, and then it's the door on the house, a couple of the flowers, which are super cute and varied, but it's hard to see because light, overexposed. But that's okay, whatever. I love the bees swirling around the bee skip down there. And the lemons under the tree are just delightful. Anyway, so a few customizations, but mostly just delightful fun. So much fun to do this one. I am trying to decide how I want to finish this. So I saw one version of it. Oh my gosh, my shirt. I'm so sorry. It was the sewing alphabet, sewing ABCs. I saw a couple of years, last year, I guess it was just last year. Time is wild right now for me. And they had done it framed. They had framed it. They'd gotten a custom frame. It was super cute, all framed up. But where it is so long and skinny, you'd have to have a custom frame. So I've considered doing potentially a soft finish on it. I don't know. I'm undecided. A frame could be really cute. And there's lots of places to get custom frames. There's lots of shops online that do that, and obviously Michael's or Hobby Lobby or, you know, a local framer. So lots of options, but I've got time. Summer is drawing to a close in the next week, and in an official manner. I think it's over in a lot of our hearts, but unfortunately for the summer lovers, even the calendar says that summer is ending. Anyway, so I'm not worried about getting it finished right away, but again, before next season, I would love to have figured that out. I don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards a frame for these ones. We'll see. Okay, this next one is pretty exciting. Another finish, because I was on a roll, apparently, in the library by Mojo Stitches, which I started last February or March, something like that. It had to have at least been February. It was probably closer to March that I started it. Anyways, so pretty. I love this. I did it with the called for cottage garden threads, and let's just get this out here. It's on a vintage lakeside linen, which I wish I could find more of this, but it's like impossible. This is where the overexposure is going to make me sad, because this is so beautiful and the colors are so rich and lovely, and it's just gonna glare out. I'll have to give it a photo shoot and share it on my Instagram, because this isn't gonna do it justice. But oh my gosh, I'm just tickled. I love it. I can hardly wait to get this framed and somewhere in my home, probably in my living room, because I want to see it every day. All the time. I just love it. I love the little Tiffany lamp and the globe down on the bottom shelf. The border is divine, and these moths are also unique, even though technically they're all the same. They're charted the same, but because of I'm trying to figure out how to hold this and point. Because of the floss you're using, the variegation in it, each moth becomes just a little bit different, and I love that. And the same goes for really all of the rest of the stitching as well. The bones of it are the same, but your books will look just a little bit different, and your lamp and your globe. And this one I did a little bit of funky stitching to make the color blocking look a little bit more continental rather than striped. Oh my goodness, it was just so much fun. I'm so pleased to have it complete. It feels like a pretty big moment, right? I was stitching this as a casual sal with Julie of Julie and Stitches, and I'm not sure where she is on it, but I know in one of your recent videos, Julie, you asked if I was done. I was not at that time, but now I am. Oh. Anyways, I love it so much. Okay, 4 with my turkey finishes. Is that right? Yeah. That was a very productive August. Very, very productive. Sorry, I've got a little drippy nose, summer cold or something. Okay, but that's not all I worked on. I did work predominantly on summer-themed projects through August before my heart took a hard swing into autumn vibes. And we're going to go old school here and use my tablet for befores. So the first one is a stitch along with Alex of Salix Stitches on Instagram and Andrew the Runner Stitcher, and it's Let Your Lighthouse Shine, Sal. So you can pick any lighthouse project, and it was so much fun to see everybody's lighthouses come out of the woodwork through August and people working on them. Some people worked on this project specifically, like the three of us are, and then I saw such a variety of other lighthouses. It was so much fun and so inspiring, and there are some projects on my wish list now that were not before. But it's just been, it was delightful, and I got a lot of work done on it. I did not get as far as I'd kind of hoped to, but I got a little distracted by some of these other projects, and so I still feel really good about what I did. So this is where it was the last time we officially saw it in a Flosstube. And then my board went away, went with the wind. This is where it sits now. So I almost got the lighthouse done. It was so close. I just didn't quite get those darker features in there. I'm stitching this on 36 count dunes by Fiber on a Whim. It's kind of a funky little scrap, but it's gonna be perfect. I love the little hints of green and gold, and it's really beautiful, interesting fabric. Perfect for a lighthouse. I'm doing a color conversion. It calls for MPI silks or DMCs, and I have switched to overdyed cottons from Stash. And I do actually have, let me open this drawer here. I have worked up conversion sheets for each of my projects I've done conversions on. So I'll show this now, but I'm still working on making, I'm not very good with computers, so I'm not good at making graphics or anything. I'm pretty old school. This is my conversion. I'll just, so you guys can screenshot it if you want to. Because I'm also trying to find a way to get, ooh, there's a sticker on it. Cute. I'm still working on a way to get these online for regular reference. I'm thinking right now I might even just take a picture of them because, like I said, I am not a computer guru. But if I took a picture of these and uploaded them as pictures onto Instagram, like in some kind of file of some kind, that might be a good way to do it. Anyways, so I'm working on those. They're available. If you have interest in any of my conversions, I'm more than happy to send you a, like for my Christmas tree farm. I know there was some interest in that. I did a full conversion on Adventure Sampler. I've done some tweaking to Autumn Town. So if you have any interest in these, just shoot me an email. I always link that down below my videos. And I'm more than happy to, like, these are not trade secrets or anything. I'm more than happy to share my conversions if I have them typed up. So that offer is that. I don't want that there. I want these somewhere else. Anyway, so this is where we got to. I'm really happy with my progress, and that's where it's going to sit probably until next summer, because I'm a seasonal stitcher, and as I already mentioned, my heart has taken a deep dive into autumn. So that's that. Okay, the next one I was working on, still in summer vibes. Oh my goodness. I don't know where to put anything. Is High Tide by Rosewood Manor. So stunning. I did not make as much progress on this as I had anticipated I would, because I was really enjoying stitching on it. In fact, I did very little, really. Well, I did some. This is where we were. Sorry. So I had a good solid start on it, and I'd hoped to make considerable progress and wound up making respectable progress. And then I just got distracted with these other ones that I was loving and went with what felt good to stitch. So I filled in the rest of the white swirls here, gave a couple more flowers up here, and then I did the jellyfish. All but for, I think I'm missing like one leg is all, or maybe it's done, I'm not sure. I feel like there's one more leg. Yeah, I think there's one more color to go in. There's a leg that goes like in this gap and then on the outside here. Kind of balances it out. But it is gorgeous. It's on the called for fabric, which is Midnight Mermaid by Under the Sea Fabrics. And then the called for floss and Krynic, which is very sparkly and beautiful. Yeah, so a respectable start for this summer. Again, this one will go into a bit of hibernation. That's okay. They're better when they have aged a little bit. It'll be so exciting to pull it out again next summer. And if I get like these winter doldrums and I just need something, maybe I'll do like a winter doldrum week midwinter. And because as I understand it, the winters are a bit more prolonged, a little more intense here than they were in the Seattle area, which it's like, did winter even happen most of the time there? But do I have a before on this? I'm not sure if I do. You knew. All right, well, too bad, so sad. Anyway, so maybe it would be fun to have a week set aside for summery, sunshiny, happy stitching, just to kind of break the winter doldrums. That might be fun. Maybe we'll figure something like that out in like late January or something. That could be fun. Okay, anyways, that's just a totally random thought. The next thing I pulled out in one of my random moments was Moonbeam Tea. And I actually worked pretty hard on this to get a finish. When last you saw it, I can't find a before picture, but I had the hills with the trees, the teacups, the swirls and tea, and then the outline of the teapots. So I almost finished it. I almost finished it. So this is where it sits. It's gonna overexpose if I turn it towards the light too much. So we'll try to angle it here. That's pretty close. It is on 14 count Aida that I dyed last year. And what slowed me down, the only thing that slowed me down, because it is completely finished, but for filling in the dark side of the teapot moons. And I had chosen a replacement color because I didn't have that. And I actually did 20 stitches in it before I decided I didn't like it. I didn't care for it. The gray that I chose was too close to the color of the teapots itself, so it really just blended in. And at that point I was like, well, maybe I just leave the teapots empty. Maybe I just let the like sky shine through them. And while I considered pretty seriously doing that and leaving it, calling this a finish, I finally decided I wanted that I like the depth of color you get with filling them in. So I scooted my butt out to the shops and bought the called for color, which is baking tin. And I think it will just define the moons a little bit more. I actually quite like how it looks with them being like clear glass, but I think that they're really the centerpiece of this stitch. So you get the phases of the moons as the tea pours out, which is lovely. And I think it will be better filled in. So, right? There's a reason the designers make the choices they do. Anyways, I'm thrilled with progress. This will definitely be finished by the end of the year. I don't have a deadline on it by any means, but It's so close. Like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Okay. The next one I pulled out is Fall on the Farm by Little House Needleworks. Is that right? Yes. It doesn't have like a full... Oh, it does have a full picture, actually. Oh. Let's see here. I know I have a main picture. There we go. So it's a 9-part series, and this is what it all looks like put together. I started it last September, or maybe it was even last November. Sometime last autumn. And I loved it. I had so much fun with it. And then, as one does, I squirreled to other projects, and that's okay. But this is where I got to last autumn. So I completed 2 squares completely and started in on a 3rd. When I pulled it out last month, I had to buy a couple more colors for it. It's stacked with it. I got a little bit obsessed again. And I have done 2 more squares. So I'm very pleased to show you this. I'm doing it on the called for 30 count portobello, which always makes me sing songs in my head from Bedknobs and Broomsticks, one of my favorite movies growing up. Anyways, yes, I got the kind of more summery blocks done. They're all fall, but these are like early autumn images, you know, apple picking, which we're gonna do next week. I'm so excited. In this one, there's a pumpkin and the leaves are just starting to change, which has been so appropriate because even though I did this last month, like now that I'm sharing it with you, we are halfway through September and the leaves are just starting to change. The autumn is kissing the edges of the trees and it is so lovely. Anyways, I ran out of the border color, so I've picked that up, and this block up here is a produce stand, so I'll do that one next because it's still the most summery-ish feeling one, and then the rest of them are heavy in the autumn vibes, so that'll be really fun. I would like to finish this block in September, and then I'll just do whatever comes through November because October is spooky stitching, so I don't know, unless I get a hankering for Fall on the Farm, I'll probably tuck it aside until November again after I finish this top square. But I love stitching this. It's so much fun. So much fun. Look at that cute little cow. We saw the cutest cows at the state fair last weekend. Oh my goodness. Last week was a good week. It was my birthday and we went out to lunch at a delicious bar and grill. And then everybody being my sisters, her husband and baby, and my husband came over for dinner. I made enchiladas and they were delicious. I mean, like maybe the best enchiladas I've ever made. We had birthday cake, which I was pretty sure was going to burn the house down. There were so many candles on it. And then we watched a delightful 80s movie, and it was just such a comfortable day. It was so lovely. Went to a used bookstore, found good books. It was lovely. Anyways, and then we went to the state fair, which was way too hot. And there were no horses, so a little anticlimactic in that way. And we went in the day so that the baby, you know, the baby has a schedule softly. But she can't really be out till 10 o'clock at night at the fair. So it was very hot because it was the daytime and there were no horses. But there were really, really cute cows, so it's okay. Okay, so that was all of my August stitching. And then we jump into like end of August, September stitching. which has been spotty. Life has been and continues to be busy in good ways, but busy. And so I seem to be stitching every other day pretty consistently. I'll have a busy day, and then I'll find a couple hours, and then a busy day, and then I'll find a few hours, and that's okay. I'm getting a lot done even with that. So I started on, it was the second because the first was, no, it wasn't even. Where's my card? I need cards. I need external brain files because my brain is failing me. Let me look. What day did I actually start this? It wasn't the first. I wanted to start at the first. I remember thinking about starting at the first. Maybe it's just not that important. And we'll just talk about it anyways. So this is Vanity Sampler. I started it sometime in the last 2 weeks. And it has had, I want to say, 2 days of stitching on it. I am using the NPI Silk conversion, which was gifted to me, and it is lovely to stitch. I'm stitching on 36 count Regency from Picture This Plus, and I'll just show the first half of it. And the color is Never Gonna Communicate. It is this lovely, how do I describe this? Soft, sagey, almost into celery green. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm stitching it 1/2, so 1 strand of silk over 2 threads of fabric, which felt very airy at the start, but I'm really liking how it looks. Look how lovely those colors are. So, so pretty. So pretty. The picture, as always, does not do it justice. I don't know if it's just yellowed out or if they stitched it with the DMC and the colors are slightly different. I know that these tend they lean a little pinker, purplier than the palette, the MPI palette is. But I love the earthy quality of the MPI silks. And I'm really excited. So this is a reproduction sampler. You can see the original down here. But there were some changes made to the middle, and there's a big hole in the middle of this section in the original. So there was some artistic license taken with this reproduction anyways, and it's lovely, it's beautiful. I am going to take another step of artistic license with it and respectfully change the phrase in the middle. It's just a little heavier than I would care to have on my wall. It says, "Youth and vigor soon will flee, blooming beauty lose its charms. All that's mortal soon will be enclosed in death's cold arms." So, it's fine. But I have been doing some more research. This feels very naturey, earthy, and especially with my silk earthy qualities. My words are failing me. I have been looking at quotes from poets and nature conservationists, and I have a few that I'm auditioning. I haven't charted it out yet, but my favorite right now is a quote from John Muir, who's kind of one of the grandfathers of the national park system. And he said, "Climb the mountains and get their good tidings. Nature's peace will flow into you as sunshine flows into the trees." So I love that. I think that's really beautiful. And then I also love this quote from Claude Monet that says, "My wish is to stay always like this, living quietly in a corner of nature." So something along those lines is kind of what I'm feeling would be lovely for this beautiful sampler once it's in my home. Anyways, so that's kind of in the works. But I'm just going to work on this upper border for now and this upper panel in here. And we'll see how far I get in September. I'd like to give it at least a couple more days, see what kind of progress I can get before we jump into spooky stitching. So that was really fun. The next thing I worked on, this was one of those random days where for whatever reason I couldn't or didn't want to work on a sampler. So instead I pulled out a whip, and I pulled out Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow, which has been snail's pace progress, and that's okay. Again, no timeline. I've chosen six of the boxes that are my favorites that are purely representing autumn, since I am also someday stitching Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow. I have taken these two blocks and I'm inserting them into that one because I think they're really cute. But then I've just picked my 6 favorites and I'm doing those with the top banner, which is what I've slowly been working on. I was here when I pulled it out this year. And I am nearly done with the top banner. So I filled in those sweet giant pumpkins and started in on the second ear of corn, which is 60% done probably. A few more colors to go into it. There are many colors in those corn. But so once that's done and the little stalks are there, I have the other half of this leaf and I'm going to do another leaf, but you'll notice because they did have a couple Halloween blocks, there are 2 little spiders that are very appropriate. But as I am shifting mine to autumn specific rather than holidays, I'm going to omit the brain spiders. I'm going to omit the spiders, and I don't know if I will do anything up there. I want to get the little swirly vines up, and we'll see how it looks. And I'll either leave it blank, or I'll chart in, maybe I'll replicate a couple of falling leaves down, because there are 2 leaves, one in either corner here, and it could be cute to bring a couple of falling leaves into the places where the spiders were. So something like that. And then I need to draw another box so that I can work on the next one, which I'm torn. I was thinking I would do the owls when I was working on this the other day, but I don't know. First of all, this is a pretty hefty piece of stitching. It's almost full coverage, but it's also really beautiful. So we'll see what strikes my mood. It might be good to do this one just so I get some real solid progress, and maybe it'll be extra motivating, because I could do this month and then start this in November potentially, or come down and start this in November, or do all the boxes and start Tom Turkey. I don't know. So many options. Anyways, we'll see what happens. I am stitching this on fabric, linen. Oh, I do have a card in here. 28 count weeks in the color Cappuccino. I'm stitching it 2/2, and this one I am doing a conversion for. So again, this is a pattern that calls for DMCs or MPI silks. I am converting it to overdyed cottons, and I do have a list for what I've done so far. It is not a full conversion list because I'm approaching these blocks one at a time. So if you want a little screenshot of what I've done, there you have it. I did not organize those numbers very well, but you get the idea. Yeah, so that was fun. It felt good to make visible progress. I'll just tuck all these guys over here in my growing stack and move on to the next one. So, another one where I was feeling like autumn stitching, but not quite. I don't remember if it wasn't quite September or I just wasn't feeling September, because that last week of August was kind of a flux week where I'd kind of wrapped up my summer stitching. I'd finished some of these things, and then, excuse me, but it wasn't quite Sampler September yet. So I'm guessing that this stitching all happened, I mean, I could check my book, but whatever. In the last week of August is, I think, when I was doing these. So I pulled out Autumn Town by Autumn Lane Stitchery. And you guys will have seen this in my last video, but just as a reminder, this is where I was. 2.5 trees and parts of a building. And I'll just layer this over here. This is where I am. So I did all of this lovely white or ecru, I'm not sure what color it is exactly. Worked on a roof and filled in here. That's what it was. Filled in here, filled in this side of the house. So good progress. But we do have a little moment where I need to do some frogging. So I don't know how well it's going to show in the camera just because colors are hard. Oh, there we go. That shows it. So this color is number 7 DMC. And it looks like I pulled in another color for this line right on top of those rows. Unfortunately, that is still number 7 DMC. It is a very strong dye lot change difference. So I need to pull out all of that stitching. So all of this, that, and that. Because they don't match. They don't match at all. And I went out and bought a skein of DMC number 7 that will just be for this project. I'll just tuck it in here. It's sitting on my desk somewhere. It should be with the project. But I just figured rather than trying to match one or the other of the two colors, I would just rip it all out and start fresh and then just be consistent with the one. I believe, looking at the picture, that one skein should be enough for these shaded parts of the houses. And I think one skein will do it. So it will just live with this project, which I don't normally do. And that's one of the reasons that, you know, sometimes you run into this. I've never had a project with, and in person, I showed it to my sister and she's like, I was like, do you notice anything? Because I didn't want to point it out. If it wasn't obvious, I was just going to let it slide. But she's like, well, it looks like there's 2 colors here, but like that's supposed to be 2 colors, right? And I was like, no, it's supposed to be the same color. So she had noticed a strong difference in person. And it really does. This lower section is a bit warmer. Top section is very gray. Anyways, if it had been subtle and it was all in my head, I would have just left it and kept on stitching. But she could see it. I don't know how well it shows in the camera, but yeah, I'm just going to have to equalize everything. So it's unfortunate. That's a bummer. It will slow down progress a little bit, but that's okay. It is what it is. I would rather have it be right. As I said before, I've never had a moment where it was quite so obvious. I've had subtle differences in DMC dye lots before, especially like I was given my grandmother's DMC collection. So some of those are decades old and you'll see some differences between that. But if it's a lot of confetti, you often don't notice that. This is a lot of block stitching, and so it's a hard line. It really shows. So that's that story. It's unfortunate. So yeah, the downside to kitting up with lengths of floss rather than buying fresh skeins for every project. I could not carry as many projects as I do as whips without kitting up that way. I can't afford to buy new floss for every single project as much as I would love to. And that's okay. You know, we adapt as we can. Sometimes, especially if your stitches are broken up by other colors, you can do one length of the old color and one length of the new color and kind of blend them together, and it really is, it is pretty seamless. But in this circumstance where it's blocks of one color tightly stitched together, there's no way to really there's no way to really blend that in. And I don't have any more of the original dye lot. So, yeah. Someday when I feel like pulling that out, I will deal with that. And it will be grand. Really, it could have been a lot worse. I could have had 4 houses done. Well, no. Honestly, even if I'd had... Where did my picture go? Even if I'd had the whole house done and the other houses wound up being different, like if I'd made it up this whole wall, and then when I got into this house on the next level, if it had been a different dye lot, I wouldn't have worried about it. I probably would have left it and been like, oh, it's just a different house. But where it's on the same wall, you know. Anyways, I'll stop talking about it. It's just one of those things you fixate on a little bit because it's disappointing, even though it's okay. Oh, I didn't bring that one up. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. You won't see one of the ones I worked on. Okay, the next one, this was my birthday start, which I started the day after my birthday. I did not stitch at all on my birthday this year, but that's okay. We were finding books and eating good food. Charlotte Griffith by Little Robin Designs. It is so beautiful. I am so tickled to be able to be stitching this one. I had kitted it up during the summer, over the summer. It took a little while to do it. But I had fabric in stash that I knew would be perfect. And then I kind of bought the floss as I went through the summer so that I would be ready to start it. And I got about half of the border done. Actually, the fabric's showing pretty well. You can see that there's these lovely subtle color changes. It has a slightly peachy, but with this green overlay. Oh, it's so lovely, so lovely. And I thought it was suited to the palette. Anyways, all I've done is one color of border. But it's so lovely. I love stitching borders. I'm a border girl. I mean, am I excited to stitch the little birds? Yes. That center basket of whatever kind of fruit that is. Yeah. I will be, you can notice this is again based on a reproduction sampler. The words, the phrase up at the top, I actually like very much. It's a lovely sentiment. Teach me to feel another's woe, to hide the fault I see, that mercy I to others show, that mercy show to me. It's lovely. I love this one. But it already, even just looking at the picture, drives me up the wall. The words are running into the flowers. The spacing between the words is not equal. So I'm not going to change the phrase, but I am going to equalize everything because that would just, it makes me itchy. It would drive me nuts. I could not have it on my wall if it was not corrected. So for my own, I'm going to take a little bit of artistic license and restructure that phrase at the top so that it is balanced. But I love it. I love this project. I'm excited. I think it's going to go really quickly. I'm doing it on a 28 count, no, 32 count, excuse me. Bestitch Me linen. Color is Missing in Action. I don't know where my card is. Oh, here we go. Mocha. The color is Mocha. And it's beautiful. Really, really beautiful. This is another one that it would be lovely to have several pieces of on hand because it's just beautiful. I could see samplers on this. I could see fancy ladies on this. It's just delicate. Anyways, delightful. Again, I'd like to get a couple more days on it. I don't know if I will focus on finishing the border in full, like the full round of bones. I consider this like the bones of a border. And then the flowers are the decoration. But so if I got the bones of the border in, I'd feel really good about that. Or if I'll decide to throw a couple flowers in there just to see what the colors will do. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. And I don't know. I'm just going to check really quick in my pictures here to see if I took any progress pictures of this project. Okay, a little bit. So I pulled out just for one afternoon, long time. I want to say it's by Nocturnus Arts on Etsy. It's a fandom stitch for The Last of Us. And this is not completely where I got to, but I finished the top half. It's downstairs. But I did do some stitching on it. So I finished all the strawberries and this first daisy, and the top half is done. So now all I have to do is bring the next branch of strawberries down to the lower half. So, yeah, sorry I don't have it here. I thought I'd gathered everything, but not quite. Not quite. Just slipped through the cracks. And it lives in a tiny little bag, so it's like, no wonder it slipped through the cracks. Okay, last thing I started, just a real quick start on Autumn ABCs. I knew if I worked on it too much, I'd get obsessed with it. So I just worked on it one afternoon for a few minutes. I think it was like an hour. And you might think, Laura, why did you put it over to the side on this fabric? I had actually pulled this piece of fabric, which is 28 count fresco from Picture This Plus, and I thought I would just center on it. I was just going to do this. But then as I was getting set up to give it its start, I realized these charts are very small. Like, they're not very wide. So let me pull out some. So if I wind up framing, this is a nice amount of fold over. It's even still, like, unless I put a mat on it, it's still more than I would necessarily need. This is only 3 inches wide. It's just not big. And so I thought, oh, well, I really want to do the winter one as well. Is this wide enough to still give me margins enough that I could do a soft finish, or I could still do a custom frame? And the answer was yes. Yes, it is. So here it is folded in half. It's not precise, but that's about how much margin you get. And that's the full width of it. So that's plenty to frame it or to do a soft finish. And as I said, I'm undecided on how I'll finish these, but however I finish summer, I will finish the other 3 seasons so that I can hang them in the same spot. I'll just swap them out seasonally. But yeah, so that's autumn. And I believe I'm doing the call for colors on this. I don't think I made any. Oh no, never mind. I'm a liar. This is why I have to have notes. Can't just fly by the seat of my pants. I'm doing almost a complete color conversion from Stash. So this is rough, but there it is by symbol, because that was just the easiest way to, and I'll type this one up. This is just new, so I hadn't done it yet. But here are my colors. And it made it so I didn't have to get anything for it. So that's awesome. I love it when I can just kit from Stash. So yeah, so that's a little start. It's barely anything yet, but as we know, these ones go quickly. So when I do pull it out again, it'll be fun. And again, I want to say I started this right at the last of August. So it wasn't truly autumn yet. I felt like I was kind of stretching to be working on it, but I wanted to. So I did. But I didn't want to be in like autumn chill when it's 97 degrees outside, because there's no chill. Yesterday was a blissfully cool day. It was so lovely. It was so refreshing, and summer's back. So that's okay. But I think we've started that like kind of ebb and flow where we have a couple of really hot days, and then we get a cold front, and we'll get a couple of cooler days, and then warmer days, and then cooler days, and then hopefully it will just like kind of level out into sweater weather. Because when this window was open, I was very comfortable, and now that it's been closed for almost an hour, oof, I'm a little warm. That's okay. All right, so that's all of my stitching. All of my stitching. That's a ton of stitching. I've been insanely productive in the last month and a half. So a very good 6 weeks of stitching. I'm very pleased. It's been delightful and fun, and it felt really good to finish off 3 projects and then frame another. Like, that's really awesome. Can't ask for more. Especially for someone who stitches as many different things as I do. So I have some Stitchy Kindness. I have a couple birthday gifts, a little tiny bit of birthday haul, and then I dyed some more fabric because yesterday the anxiety monster in my brain was roaring. He wasn't even just like talking, he was roaring, and something about dyeing fabric was very centering. So I have a stack of, I think they're beautiful fabric to share. So the first Stitchy Kindness was sent to me in July, early August, and it was so lovely. She had reached out a while ago, and it took us a few weeks to kind of connect the dots between emails, and then she sent out my package. I think I've got everything. I feel like I'm missing something. Anyways, I'll just share what I have in front of me because I don't remember. Anyways, she sent me this lovely card, Jane Austen card, and with a lovely note inside. And then inside the package, my brain is breaking right now, I'm sorry. For a couple of kits. So this first one are these sweet teddy bears, which would look so cute with I have one completed Old Dimensions kit that's on my wall. I finished that last year. I fully finished it last year. The stitching had been done for 15 years, easily. But I finally framed it last year, and it's actually in my bedroom. It hangs there next to my bookcase, and it's lovely. And then I have another one that I actually planned to start with sunflowers and teddy bears on the porch. I planned to start that last month, and then it got demoted along with a couple of other things because life. Anyways, Thank you, Sarah. These are from Sarah. She has a YouTube channel, Lady Lugana, and she does beautiful, beautiful stitching. And I'm so surprised you gave up one of your teddy bear kits, because I know how you love teddy bears too. So I know how generous that was. Thank you very much. And then there was this too. And this was the subject matter of the note. She said she saw this. It's a Charles Wysocki kit from 1994. And I love Charles Wysocki. And so this kit was in there. Oh, it's so beautiful. It is so beautiful. It is full coverage. And I can hardly wait to start it. It's so, so lovely. So thank you. This will be started at least a couple hundred stitches sometime this autumn, because I can't wait till next year. It's so lovely. Oh my goodness. It's so good. Just look at the details. Isn't it lovely? I mean, the water wheel and the trees, the foliage in the background. I love that the clouds kind of break the line of the frame, as does the bottom edge here. Oh, the pumpkins. It's just so lovely. I'm excited. So thank you, Sarah. I think I gathered everything, but honestly, they've been sitting in my basket for over a month, waiting for this video for me to do anything with them. So I don't remember, but it was a lovely gift and a lovely surprise, and I'm very grateful. So thank you. Okay, so this next set of things, I'm just gonna share this. So my dear friend from Seattle sent me a birthday gift, and she sent me a couple of patterns, which are lovely. I love this. I think I'll stitch it without the base. I think it's just cute like that. Prairie Schooler Spring Sampler. I love this one, especially. Oh, but the border on this one is delicious. So pretty. And then Barrack Samplers, Withering Tulips, which I've not heard of these ones, but it's Kathy Barrack. It's just an older chart, a smaller chart. Anyways, so those are lovely. Those will go in my collection. But then she was so kind and generous, and she stitched me a gift. So this is her initials, and this is my initials, and this is my little Grace with a little G, 1 over 1. Isn't that cute? She even got the color of her collar right. Aww. And I love it, and it just sits right here on my desk so I can see it always. I need to pick a spot for it, but I'm almost done with Midnight at the Oasis, which is currently pinned on my wall here. It's like the main feature, but the next round will make it too big for the wall. So this will probably be hung on the wall at some point once that top is done. So right now she just sits on my desk. Me and my friend. What a treasure. It made me cry when I opened it. I was so surprised and so touched. Okay, so the next little bit is just haul. So I got the final 2 patterns that I needed to be able to finish Fall on the Farm. So this is the next one I'll stitch, that little fruit stand. And then the well. I love the chickens on the sheep's back. And I love a chart when they include a black sheep. I just think that's so cute. Like I did in my quilt. So those will get tucked in with that project. And then I saw this at Shepherd's Bush the last time I needed floss, and they had done a color conversion on it, which was so sweet. It just softened it. I don't know. It's just lovely. So this is I think this is just a digital rendering of the project, but they have a sample in the shop, and it's so cute, and I loved it. And so this will have to be start sometime down the road. And then I got two patterns from this most August market. First one is Spooky Mansion, which is so cute. Look at those funky, fabulous bats. And the fence, I love the fence down along the bottom. And the owl in the tree. It's just so cool. And these fabulous giant flowers. It's marvelous. I love it. This is by Quaint Rose Needle Arts, who I've not heard of before, but I'm digging it. And I'm not going to start this right away as much as I want to because it's so cute. But I think this will be, once I finish my Victorian house number 9, this will take its place. So I only have one of the threads that I need for it, and I haven't chosen a fabric for it yet, but that's okay because I have other things to finish before. That'll probably be next year that I actually start that one. And then the other one I actually mentioned in my last video, Belinda Botanica by Bella Filipina. Oh, she's so beautiful. I love the colors. I love the pumpkins, her dress and her hat. I love the lighter background imagery. That's so neat. I'm trying to show it without glare as much as possible. So I got it. I already knew what fabric I was going to use, so I dyed this one last year. This is going to be overexposed, but yeah, they just don't show up right. It looks so much more brown than it actually is. It's just like goldenrod with hints of green, and yeah, this side is super dynamic. Obviously it got the direct exposure to the dye, but this side's a little softer and very golden and lovely in person. Not quite as as it's showing, but I pulled my DMCs and the colors, I did a floss toss, the colors look great. So she is pretty much kitted. I don't know when I'll start her. I do have a bag for her. Look at this cute bag. Oh, I love that fabric. Oh, it's better on the back. There we go. He looks so surprised. Anyways, side note. I don't know when I'll start this one, but I have it already, and if the urge hits this year, I can do that. And if it waits until next year, that's okay. It's just ready to go whenever. But I loved it the moment I saw her. I just think she's magical and beautiful, and I had to have her. Okay, and last but not least, Instagram influenced me. And because, oops, excuse me, sorry, whack. Because samplers are apparently a newfound love for me this year. I saw it was House of Stitch and Stash on Instagram started Marianne Kopp. Oh my goodness. The script. That is a confusing C to me. But Marianne Kopp, sampler by Brenda Gervais. It's a reproduction. And this picture doesn't even do its justice. First of all, I love that the deer are different. And while I'm not like the first person to dive into a giant house, I love that it's bricks. That makes it so much more interesting to me. It's just beautiful. It's so lovely. So I jumped on the bandwagon. Her picture, she's doing it on a brighter cream background than this, and it made the colors so clean and cheerful. It is just absolutely delightful. Excuse me. My throat. Ugh, too much talking. Too many words. Let me see if I have a screenshot, because I was so inspired. I was like, I have to find this one. perhaps not, because I found it. So, oh no, here. So this is House of Stitch and Stash's picture of her start. Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. And she's using the called for colors. And so I was like, sold. That's beautiful. I love it. I want it. I have fabric on order that was like the last of my birthday money. And so this is what my birthday money went to, was floss. Birthday money is the only time I go out and buy floss for a project specifically. So beautiful floss. And then I have some fabric coming sometime in the next week. And then I'll give this a start for this will be my last sampler September start. And then I've been trying to think, like, how do I approach stitching my samplers as I go into the new year? Because they're not necessarily seasonal. The ones I've chosen are a bit more generalized, a bit more neutral, which is lovely. That means they don't have to be taken down or put up. Like, they can just have permanent homes whenever they are done and framed, and they'll just be these elegant, beautiful additions to our home. But how do I do my stitching? So that they still get regular progress, since they are not seasonal. Seasonal things are easy because I always come back to them. Not seasonal projects, so projects without a season, can, not always, but can tend to languish a little bit. They kind of get tucked into a corner and lost. And I don't want that to happen. I've started a handful of samplers this year, and I love them all. So I've been thinking about, maybe I need like a sampler Sunday, or sometimes I don't get a lot of stitching done on Sundays though anymore, because we go hiking or we are with family now that we're close. And maybe I need sampler Saturday, or maybe I just like try to make sure that I pick 4 days a month, and I pick one sampler to work on every month, and I just kind of rotate through my samplers until they're completed. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's kind of a brainchild right now rather than a practice, as I'm just still starting my handful of samplers, but I'm loving them. I love the, classic elegance that they have, and I don't want everything in my home to be samplers. I don't want to stitch only samplers. I love a variety of styles and subjects in my stitching, but I'm really enjoying my little foray into sampler stitching, and so I want to find a way to keep making progress on them while also stitching all the other things I love. So again, thoughts. Okay, so I'll just pop through these. I had a whole stack of lighter fabrics that had either been pulled from kits because I was going to use something else, because I do that a lot. I'll get kits and then I don't want to stitch on that fabric as it sits, or I have a different vision for it, so I pull a linen or an even weave, or even an another Aida, but just something different to give it a little unique twist. But then I'm left with these kit Aidas that are just, neutrals. And there's nothing wrong with neutrals. I appreciate a good neutral collection, but I also really have a lot of fun dyeing fabric. So here we are. They usually get tucked into I have a little plastic box that has all my RIT dye, which is what I've used. It's the only thing I've used so far in my dyeing adventures. And then I have all the little cups that I put the dye into, and my gloves so that nothing gets stained, and then I've got a gallon baggie that I just slip fabrics that I want to dye at some point into, and then once I get a little stack, I have a dye day. So that's what I was left with. I had a stack, and I had a need for distraction yesterday, and so I dyed fabric, and these are the results. So they're kind of random sizes and random counts. This one looks like it's an 18 count Aida. But I did, so I have eggplant and then denim. I think it's denim or blue jeans or something like that. And I was playing with combining the dyes rather than combining them on the fabric, which creates a very splotchy, like rainbow effect. I was playing with combining the dyes in the cups and then adding them to the fabric, which is something I hadn't done as of yet. And it gave me a much more blue-based purple, royal purple, and as always, the especially in this light, that's not gonna work. It's never gonna be what I see in person, but I'm really happy with the results. That was a fun experiment. The light parts are not as dramatic as they look in the picture. It's much more I'm trying to find the right angle that would show what the eye can see. I don't know. Anyways, so there's the first one. And that will, I don't know. Some of these, I have a vision already for what I would do on them, and other ones. So I was also trying to do some lighter colors. So I'm pretty good at getting saturation at this point, but then finding a way to get more neutral bases is kind of a fun experiment. Sage is one of my favorites, and then kind of diluting the dye to make less pigment go into the fabric. This is a 14 count Ada. It's beautiful. I love how this one turned out, and it's a bit more green. Oh, that shows pretty well right there. It's really pretty. Anyway, so that will be interesting, and it's a bit more neutral. And these two were actually, I'll show them at the same time. They were on the same plate so my process is, actually I'll show you. I've got my little cups for those who are interested. If not, sorry. I've got my little cups all in a row. There we go. I took pictures because I didn't want to like set up a whole filming thing, but I thought if I was going to talk about it, maybe some imagery would help. So I lay down freezer paper always to protect my counters. I've got little cups. And they're not just basic plastic cups. They are plastic, but they're like the crystalline plastic, which it takes the heat better. It handles the heat better. So I put a little bit of dye in, and then I have a countertop teapot that I warm up almost to boiling. I don't do full boiling because I have melted cups before, but the crystalline ones seem to handle the heat better, as I said. And so I pour the water in over the dye, and whoopsie. And then here's a picture of full dye cups. And then I pour that over the fabric. So this is my plate. Pour the dye over. Once it's to what I want it to be, or what I think will be okay, I microwave it. And you have to make sure you have enough moisture in this. You cannot let it be dry at all, or you scorch your fabric. But I microwave it for 3 to 5 minutes, and then I dump it into my stainless steel sink, run it with water until it gets clean, till the water runs clear, and then I let it air dry most of the way, and then I press it. And so far, so good. So this fluorescent piece of fabric, you will actually see later in the stack. It doesn't look like that anymore. I also was working with some pre-colored fabric. So like this one started out navy blue, and you'll see that one in a minute too. That's my general process. I am no expert. I am not a professional. This is just me playing with it. I've watched a handful of videos before I did it the first time, and I've kind of tweaked my method. You definitely don't want to use a dish that you're ever going to use for any kind of food. Here's 2 more. Again, I was trying to go lighter. They're a bit more yellow, green in person, but try to get lighter colors. Yeah, I'm not a professional, so like, don't Don't quote me on anything, but I really have fun, and I do have some understanding of like how color sets and heat versus cold, and yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it. So this one is just a scrap cut off of something else. Again, it looks like 18 count Ada, but that's just neutral. That's yummy. That'll be great for something. Okay, so this time was my first time trying. I have dyed only Ada up to this point, but this time I actually had linen and a couple of even weaves as well as part of my dyeing experiment. So this one started out just an ivory linen, and now it is this. This one I'm pretty excited about. I don't know what I'll do with it, but it's gonna be good when it's gonna be good. Okay, this one is almost the same dye as on the last fabric, but this is an Ada. So this is a really good example of how different fabrics take color. The linen just soaks it up so fast. Like it becomes saturated really quickly. Whereas the Ada, even though I wash, so before I put any dye to my fabrics, I always, at a minimum, soak them down. But then I also, if it's particularly starchy and stiff, I will also just take hand soap and wash it. And then rinse it till the bubbles stop coming, to give a neutral base for receiving the dye, if that makes sense. Anyways, I love this one. That's actually a bit more accurate. That's a bit more color true. So pretty. I'm really pleased with this one. I could see like a wintry village on this or something oceany. It could be a lot of different things. Oh. Okay. This was another piece of linen. And that one turned out a bit ombre. It's actually gorgeous. This is actually, especially in person, what I was hoping to get as far as color for my Halloween Quaker, with that purpley kind of, I don't know, spooky Halloween sky vibes. Anyways, the one I'm using is great. It was an Ada though, so it takes the color differently. It's just so interesting. It's such a fun experiment to kind of play with. This is eggplant and a tiny bit of super diluted like denim blue, but laid over it instead of blended into the dye. So it reads very, it's a much pinker purple. I can't think of the word right now. Anyways, violet, a little bit more violet than the first one, which is very much in that deep plum, blue, black, purple kind of color range. Anyways, but it's lovely. I love how that one turned out too. It's been such fun. I just have so much fun playing with the colors and seeing how they'll react to each other. This started out as a solid navy blue. And I was so confident that no color would take, that nothing would show because it started out so dark. I mean, that's it. All soaked down. I washed this one with soap because it was very stiff to start out. And rinsed it out and then crumpled it up on the plate. And then I started applying, now this was not very diluted, strong eggplant and some forest green and then I think some of that denim blue over it too, and it's looked almost like nothing was happening even when I rinsed it out. I mean, I knew color was coming out of it, but when it dried, it is probably one of the coolest things I've ever dyed myself. It's gonna be so good. Something magical has to go on that. A wizard or I don't know, something awesome. Okay, so then I had one fat quarter of equivalent-ish of cream linen left, and I just wanted something beautiful and neutral, and I'm actually, this will be the first time you guys hear about it, I'm designing a pattern right now, which feels really scary. And I'm still trying to learn the Max Stitch program, so it's going slowly. Like, I've got all these sketches all over the place, but the actual, like, paper to computer process is slowing me down. Anyways, this may be what I stitch my sample stitch on. Anyways, that it's coming at some point. And it will be awesome. But this, I'm so pleased with how this turned out. It's not showing very well. There's definitely, oh, there, that's better. Like, it's very similar to my sweater, actually. A little bit bluer, but. So that turned out well. Loving this. This is a 32 count linen. And then I had 3 absolutely fluorescent Bestitch Me even weaves that I had gotten. I'm not currently in the Bestitch Me group anymore, which I miss, but you know, that's okay. I'm having fun playing with my stash as it is, and it's all good. Anyways, but this is one of them. And then there was another one that was very similar but lighter. And then there was one, it was called Boneyard, and it was like cream with really strong gray over it, and it was beautiful, but I just could not think of anything I would ever stitch on it. So we had some fun. And it was very interesting, again, starting with a strong color base instead of a neutral to add color onto. And it really changed the way I was thinking about it. So let me see if I can do these in order. This one started out as that gray, neutral with the strong gray overtone. And that one was much easier because, again, the base was still pretty neutral. So I added some sage and some forest green and a little tiny bit of teal, and it's showing super gray, and it's not in person. It's very green in person. And then just a little hint of marigold. Yeah, this is never going to show up in screen like it does in person, but it's very green. Again, very similar to my sweater. It's not nearly as grayed out as it's looking in the picture, but that one was pretty easy. That one was fun. Using strong enough colors to kind of level out those stronger moments of gray, but still having space to kind of play with that depth. Then the orange ones were just a wild adventure, and these both wound up being dyed twice. So this first one, this is the lighter orange originally. And the first time it came out, I laid it out on the towels, because once I have them cleaned out, the water runs clear, I kind of lay them out over old towels to just dry, air dry, flat. And then when they're most of the way dry, I press them. Because otherwise those wrinkles, tell you what, the first time I did it, I did not press them first, or press them while they were still moist, and oh my gosh, there are some wrinkles I don't think will ever come out. But this one originally came out it almost felt like camo. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And I dyed all the other ones, and then at the very end I came back to it. I was like, what am I ever going to put on this? It's so blotchy and dynamic. It was gorgeous, but it was so dynamic that I wasn't sure what I would ever put on it. So I dyed it again, and I threw a bit more blue into it and some more sage, but more diluted, and just tried to even out that blotchiness and create more of a marbling. It's so beautiful. I'm so proud of this one. I love that one so much. And then the last one, and this one was a terror. So this orange wound up coming out like an orange Dalmatian. I am not even kidding. And at first I was like, okay, well maybe that'll be okay because I could throw like an autumn lane stitchery or something, you know, funky and fun, but with like really strong images so that they'll still show up. And by the time I came to the end again, I was kind of looking at my towels and I'm like, I just don't like it. It's still too neon. It was still reading so vibrantly orange. And so I was like, okay, what would complement but power over orange? Purple. Oh, so I played with eggplant, and then I mixed some eggplant with the navy again to bring in some deeper purpley tones, but there's still some green that shows through. And again, this is so overexposed and the picture's never going to do it justice, but I tell you what, you guys, in person, it's like a nebula. It's amazing. It's so pretty and I love it and I can hardly wait to stitch something on it. Oh, it's just fantastic. It is so much fun to play with color. Oh, that shows pretty well there. It's so good. I had so much fun. This was so good for my brain yesterday. It was so good. Yay. So, in conclusion, that's what I've been up to. All the things. It's been so good. It's been so busy and so good. Stitching for the next couple of weeks before we dive into spooky stitching. I will keep going with my samplers, and once that fabric comes in, I'll start my final sampler. So I will have started 3 samplers. I am joining on the 22nd, so the autumn equinox, when autumn is official. I am joining Samantha, the Huga Stitcher, in the Autumn is a Joyful Sal. And Autumn is as Joyful. Sorry, my life is a mess over here. It's all good. I am going to be stitching mine on 36 count dunes. So the same fabric that I'm stitching my Lighthouse Sal on. But this is going to look so different because the palette is so different. The fabric will just translate differently. It's going to be gorgeous. So 36 count. I'm going to do it 1/2 again. Here are the called for DMCs, but I have chosen some alternates to trade out here and there, and I have labeled them for what DMC they correspond with. So as I go, it'll just be like coloring in a coloring book. I will kind of pick and choose my moments where I think it will be the most effective to throw an over-dyed cotton into the mix and just add a little bit of magic. So that is, I'm very excited for. I need to put it in a project bag. Right now it lives in a plastic bag. I have a digital pattern, so all I have printed out is the color page because the key, because I was playing with it. And then this one also, has a little bit of a morose quote on it. I did read, she has a whole paragraph down here about the poem that it came from, and when you read the context around the rest of it, it's a beautiful poem. It makes a lot of sense, but pulled out of context, the quote in the center of this one is just not my favorite. And I'm not alone in this, to the extent that, bless her heart, Lila Studio has charted an alternate segment from the same poem for an option. I thought about using that and then decided I was already planning on just putting my own thing in there. So I have a couple of alternate quotes again that I have found from poetry And I am undecided. My favorite right now is still a little bit sad, but it's also good. It's the heart of autumn must have broken here and poured its treasures upon the leaves. Ugh. So I don't know if I'll use that one because again, it's a little sad and I don't know if I want anything sad. But I also really like from Victoria Erickson, if a year was tucked inside of a clock, then autumn would be the magic hour. Which I kind of like that one. So anyways, I'm still working on my quote. And once I choose it, I will have to chart that out, make sure my spacing is right to fit in the original spot. But yeah, that's going to be really fun. I'm excited for that. That's next weekend that starts. So I don't have long to wait. And then, yeah, I'll just be stitching samplers with a sprinkling of autumn designs until I dive into Halloween spooky stitching on the 1st, which I have a whole bundle of joyful themed stitches planned for Halloween. October is gonna be madness. I realized I have a whole collection of really large Halloween projects, and I have very few smaller scale quick finishes, little things that you can kind of tuck on a shelf or add some diversity into, like a collage of framed pieces on your wall, or just smaller projects. And so I wanted that. I had patterns for a lot of smaller projects, so I've actually spent the last couple months kitting up smaller projects, and I want to start a good handful of those in October. But I'll show you those as October rolls around. I think my next video will be sometime in the first week or so of October, right as we transition into spooky stitching. So that will be really fun, but I'm really enjoying where my stitching is right now. The subject matter is really fun. And yeah, especially as we look forward to some of those cooler days here, it's cozy stitching too. So last but not least, I want to announce the winners. Now they are buried under a mountain of goodness. Here we go. So in the anniversary video, we had 2 giveaways, 2 happy little bags of joy. One was, the code word was purple, and the other was costume. And I have used YouTube random comment picker to find the winners. So the first winner for costume, which is this little goodie bag, which I had to label because otherwise I would have forgotten, is her handle, or their handle is Sharon Kenshallow 831. I'll show that up here. So thank you for watching and commenting, and congratulations. And if you send me an email through my link in the description box, let me know that you are you and send me your address. I will get this shipped out in the next week or so that you will have a fun little goodie bag at the start of October. Congratulations! I always forget how fun giveaways are. Like, I can't do them all the time. I would love to do one for every video, but I can't do it all the time, but I love doing it. It's so much fun. And anyways, yay. And I wouldn't be here, as I said before, without you guys. So it's good to give back. So the second one is for, the code word was purple, and this is a goodie bag. They both have a piece of fabric, a pattern, and a 5-inch charm pack in them, as well as made by me bags. So the winner for this one is actually a familiar name to me, X-Stitching Librarian. So thank you for watching and for being part of my channel, and again, send me an email and I will get this goodie bag shipped off to you. So, yay for the winners! Congratulations! I can't wait to send these off. They're just sitting in their special little corner until until I have more information. But yeah, this was a long video again. I just, I cannot go 6 weeks between videos. There's just so much to share, and it's so much fun. So thank you for hanging out with me, everyone, for for your lovely comments and your kind words. And Amanda had so much fun, and she has been lurking the comments as they've come in, and she's had so much fun reading them, and we just had a blast. I get so much pleasure out of this channel, and I know it's just little old me most of the time, but but I still enjoy it so much, and just sharing what I love to do with people who appreciate it is pretty wonderful. So thanks for being here and listening to my ramblings. Yeah, okay. I don't think I have anything else for you. I will be back with what I've done soon. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying September. I hope it's treating you well. I have all the good thoughts and prayers and energy going to people affected by a hurricane, and of course the fires in California are horrific, as well as in other places. I know Idaho has fires, and it's just been a very, very dry summer. So take care of yourselves, be safe. I hope you get lots of stitching time in, and yeah, I'll be back. As my little niece would say, toodaloo.